Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Game 3 of this Best of 3 series between Navi and Dignitas from the Dreamhack Summer Quarterfinals, and this is the last Quarterfinals match. My god, I have cast a lot recently, and I still have to get through the semifinals as well as the grand finals. So yeah, a lot more games coming up very soon from this tournament. But hopefully you'll stick with it, because I fully intend on casting every single playoff game like I promised at the start. And this is one Dota promise that I'll actually try to fulfill for once. But Navi vs Dignitas Game 1, Dignitas played a really solid game. They used a Morphling and Doom lineup to really negate Navi and really just Navi allowed Dignitas to play their game, to take it to the mid to late stages of the game, and then just use their better late game lineup to overpower Navi. In Game 2, Navi just completely dominated Dignitas from the get-go, overpowering Tree, and once you overpower Tree at the beginning, it's so hard for a Tree and Protector to come back. But this is Game 3, we'll see how both teams adapt. Keep in mind, Navi lost the first game in around 50 minutes, and Dignitas lost the second game in around 16 minutes, so Navi definitely with a little bit more confidence than Dignitas, I've got to imagine, as they're going to pick up their very stable carry, Gyrocopter for Havost. Again, this is the go-to carry for Navi these days, and we're going to have to see how Dignitas responds. Wisp and Morphling were eliminated because AUI did play a really strong Morphling Game 1, and that is enough for Navi to just completely remove from the rest of this series.
5 seconds remaining.
Now, Treant could be a pickup, but I really doubt Dignitas will go for the Treant choice, just because it did not work out in Game 2 well whatsoever. And they're going to pick up the Darkster once again for Universe, and securing themselves Jakiro, as this combination has been very stable for Dignitas throughout this entire tournament, and really throughout all of their games, as this is definitely a go-to combination for them. Universe's trademark hero is the Darkster, of course, and Fog does play a mean Jakiro, and that team fight potential, once it gets going, it's very scary to actually stop. Y'all, Navi gonna respond with Kuroki's trademark hero, the Rubik. So now they have two forms of their safe lane. So look for Dignitas to start banning out off lane, since Dignitas have already taken the Darkseer for themselves. So perhaps something equivalent to a Nature's Prophet ban by Dignitas could be very useful here. And that is going to be indeed the case, as they will get rid of the Nature's Prophet. Now, I'm not too sure what else they'll ban in the off lane. Bounty and Clockwork could be a possibility, but maybe they want to get rid of some other mid-solo heroes that Dignitas could have some trouble with, considering Dignitas do have the first choice after the second ban phase, and so they can pick up a strong mid-solo hero and then just make it really difficult for Navi Dendi to come back, because Dendi has had really good games throughout this entire series. First on the Puck, where he played pretty solidly, and then the mid-solo Shadow Fiend, where he played pretty well as well. And meanwhile, Navi going to get rid of the Spectre, so they don't want to play against that really difficult to play against hero in the late stages of the game. And they're going to eliminate it entirely, but Dignitas is a team that is very versatile in their Kai lineup, as Dignitas is going to bat the Enigma, so they fear the early game pressure of Enigma. Not something I would have banned, or would have thought of being banned, but Puppey did play a pretty solid Enigma for the most part, and Enigma is one of those heroes who could potentially go to the offlane and really annoy Dignitas' carries by draining so much experience.
10 seconds remaining.
So right now, Dignitas, what they need their mid-solo, they need their hard carry for AUI 2000, and they need their secondary support. And Dignitas is a team that experiments with a bunch of different supports. In Game 1, they ran a successful Enchantress, and considering they have not banned Enchantress this game, and they do have the first choice as the second ban phase ends, it might be a hero that they have their eyes on. So we'll see if they pick up the Enchantresses, since it did work rather well in Game 1, and they might just want to go with what they know, and it is going to indeed be the Enchantress. And Navi going to ban out the Doom. Snaking his Doom was a little bit of a problem in Game 1. I don't think it was the deciding factor, but Doom against your hard carry just makes it a lot more difficult to man up against the other hard carry on the side, Dignitas. So, a pretty appropriate ban in my opinion for Navi. And Navi, I've got to imagine they won't take their secondary support just yet. They're likely to pick up one of their offlanes or mid lane choices. Probably their offlane in this phase, since Dignitas still have one more ban. And I mean, if you let 2 more picks go through before the offlane is secured, you might run into a problem where you're very limited in your offlane choices. But just judging by Navi's current lineup, they could potentially pick up Visage, and that's the only hero that I would say Navi would go with an aggressive trial with. Otherwise, Navi will definitely go with a defensive trial lane. I think they really like having the safe lane farm on Havost, and Darkster in the offlane in a 1v1 matchup does do pretty well against most of his combatants. So I don't imagine Navi will go aggressive with their trial, and Dignitas definitely won't go aggressive with their trial. That's just not their style, especially with this lineup. Enchantress really wants to get as many levels as possible, And you saw Enchantress in the mid to late stages of the game, and Touch Roll just makes her so difficult to bring down, as Na'Vi gonna secure themselves the offlane here in the form of Clockwork. And now they have a bit more survivability, but it's gonna be ridiculously difficult for Clockwork to actually pick up experience against an Enchantress and Jakiro safe lane matchup, especially if Dignitas get a pretty reasonable disabling carry. But which carry will they go for? They don't have the range or movement ability of Morphling, and I'm not too sure myself. They might pick up Lone Druid for AUI, but actually, probably not, since they have Universe in the Dark on the offlane. And I've only ever seen Dignitas run Lone Druid in the offlane. Of course, Lifestealer still does remain in the pool, but with the Clockwork choice being picked up by Na'Vi, it's, I mean, yeah, cogs don't really go through magical immunity, but it is annoying keeping Lifestealer secured in the cogs for a long time. And I don't think Dignitas will go with the Lifestealer in any case. So Dignitas might secure themselves a mid-hero. Queen of Pain, Puck are still viable options if they want to go for a melee mid similar to TA, because Snaking has a really strong TA, one of the best TAs in all of North America, and this is a decent TA lineup. I mean, yeah, you have Gyrocopter draining up the refraction charges, but only Havos plays a Gyrocopter, and you most likely won't take them in lane. But still, it's risky picking up TA against a Gyrocopter as well as a Clockwork, who can keep you pinned in place and drain those refraction charges so very easily. And Rubik will always steal a good spell from TA no matter what, so I don't know what Dignitas will go for here. Maybe they'll go for a bit more teamfight security. Brewmaster could be a viable option. Instead, they're going to pick up the Naga Siren, so now they're focusing a bit more heavily on teamfight, it seems like. I'm not too sure if this will be mid lane Naga Siren, because I've never seen Dignitas run Naga Siren, so this could potentially be a hard carry Naga Siren for AUI 2000. It could also be a mid lane Naga Siren, but right now, I've got to figure it is going to be a hard carry Naga Siren, and we're going to have to see, since the other hard carry Naga Sirens, yeah, she's pretty powerful in landing stage, but there's a point in the game where she just doesn't do that much damage because she doesn't have critical strike, and illusions are not really that powerful, so we're going to have to see how it goes. I mean, Naga Siren, she picks up Diffusal Blade level 2 Mantis Style, and she only does around 200 damage per hit, not counting the mana burn, of course. And still, up against a Gyrocopter, that's not that impressive. But they do have that really powerful teamfight presence now. Now they have the Sleep into Vacuum, into Ice Path, into Macro Power combination that can single-handedly decimate a teamfight, especially with Na'Vi only having one tank here on the form of Clockwork. And Clockwork, you might build into a pipe, but it's going to be a very late pipe, as Na'Vi going to pick themselves up in AA. Really interesting choice. Is this going to be a Dendi Mitzel AA? This could potentially be that. AA is usually played as support, but since the recent buff to AA, making him more viable in the mid lane. I mean, AA is one of those heroes who doesn't really need to battle crow too much. He has pretty solid mid lane presence because Kofi does do a lot of damage before the other mid soul does manage to get the boots online. And of course, Ice Blast with the Aghanim Scepter just does a heck of a ton of damage, so you definitely cannot underestimate it, as it keeps you debuffed for 17 seconds, and during that time you can't regen up, you're taking a little bit of DPS over time, and eventually, if your HP is low enough during those 17 seconds, you will shatter and just lose a lot of gold as well as a lot of experience to that AA. So, AA, I guess, synergizes with the Clockwork with a little bit of global aspect, and also, I don't know. We're going to have to see how they play it, because he could potentially be a Trion here if they decide to go for a Chilling Touch build and decide to go on the offensive up against Dignitas' Trion. But still, it's too difficult to call at this moment what exactly Na'Vi will do with this hero. Dignitas seems to think this will be a mid-soul A. They're going to be at the Visage, so they don't want to be put on the aggressive, as Na'Vi going to be at the Kunkka, because Kunkka with this really strong teamfight lineup would be very powerful, and they think Snaking will need a mid-soul hero, so we're going to have to see how Snaking approaches this next choice. Will they go for a bit more teamfight heavy? I guess the Brewmaster is probably the best teamfight mid-soul left in the pool at the moment, or Queen of Pain can do a lot of work with the Dark Side. I think Queen of Pain would be a viable option in this situation. So I expect Dignitas to try to get themselves Queen of Pain. She has a lot of burst damage. Her AoE does synergize very well with Darkseid as well as Jakiro. And she can give a lot of early game DPS where Dignitas is lacking that form of DPS at this point with their current lineup. Instead, they're going to go with the Weaver. So maybe this will be a mid-solo Naga Siren. I'm not too sure, but Weaver is just very strong. I don't know if he's necessarily that strong against AA because he does need to regen up, I think. But still, I mean, he won't ever be caught by cold feet. He's going to be really, really difficult for Clockwork to lock him down. And actually, now that I think about it, Navi, they only have a couple stuns to really limit Weaver's movement in a team fight. They have Telekinesis and they have Clockwork if Clockwork does manage to get the cogs. But then keep in mind, Weaver can immediately time-lapse out. So Navi, it's going to be difficult catching up to the Weaver. And of course, a little cheesy thing is just Weaver with Ion Shell just makes it so difficult to escape the damage that Weaver can potentially pump out. So I like this Weaver choice, but my real question is, where will it be laned? Will it be a mid-soul Weaver? Will it be a aggressive Trilane being pumped out by Dignitas? I'm not too sure.
10 seconds remaining.
Meanwhile, Navi will find out very soon what role the A will play in this game. Will it be a mid-soul ancient apparition? It'll be a lycanthrope for Navi, so what is this lineup designed to do? This lineup is designed to chase. I don't know. This lineup really doesn't seem like it has that much synergy, in my opinion. It's not the best split pushing lineup or pushing lineup for Navi Puppy to really thrive in. I mean, yeah, Hal will buff up Povo's damage by a decent amount, and Clockwork and Lycan can chase very, very effectively, but Weaver is so difficult to catch that I'm not too sure if Lycan was necessarily the best choice in terms of dealing with the Weaver. And where will Lycan be laned? I'm really, really confused by this last pick, Lycan. I'm a huge fan of Wolf, as you all know, but I don't know if Wolf really fits in this lineup, as he's going to pick up some clarity, so it looks like he's going to be jungling for a bit, as he does manage to sell him. But introducing the players and the teams for this really interesting game. I'll be right back before I introduce the players and teams. Alright, I'm back. Did you miss me? I missed you guys. Anyways, on the side of Dignitas, we're going to have Way Too Sexy the Captain once again playing that Enchantress. Fogged is going to be playing one of his trademark supports in the form of Jakiro. Universe will be taking care of his trademark hero in the form of Darkseer. AUI 2000 will be playing the Naga-sign, so we will see a mid-soul Weaver. Interesting. On the side of Navi, we're going to have Puppy playing the Lycanthrope, Pavos is playing the Gyrocopter, Dendy is going to be playing the mid-soul Ancient Apparition, Kuroki is playing the Rubik, and Funnick is going to be playing the Clockwork, so I'm actually pretty excited. Weaver versus AA. I can't imagine AA can really do too much to Weaver in the mid lane, because Weaver can just escape out without losing too much experience due to how cheap Shikuchi is and how frequently it can be used. But still, AA has a better range, so he can potentially harass Weaver out of the lane, assuming, of course, Weaver doesn't get that fast ball, which it seems like Snaking will rush towards to secure that. But yeah. Oh, by the way, shouts to Jackson Cobbs and all the other people who send me very nice emails. They're really, really appreciated, because I don't really I make like 50 bucks a month on this current rate. So the reason why I do this is just for improving myself, as well as just the enjoyment of chilling with my fans. So shouts to all you guys. You know, Universe taking a lot of harass, and look at how he doesn't want to scale that point to Surge, because he knows if he does that, his jungle potential is severely limited, but he's going to get lifted up, and Universe will give up first blood. Good engaged by Navi, as they've just managed to take a huge advantage in this lane. And unfortunately for Navi's Shrine, they don't have any other support besides Rubik really crushing the Darkseer. So Darkseer, assuming he positions himself correctly, should be able to hit a reasonable level 2 despite picking up Surge at level 1. I mean, yeah, he won't get farm, but actually with this aggressive ward being planted by Navi, they will be always able to spot out Universe's movement. So I like this ward quite a bit, but it remains to be seen if it will be effective in terms of limiting Universe's level 2. And Meow Puppy going back into the jungle with Lycan. Yeah, he did get a slight armor buff, but his wolves are still really, really squishy for the most part. And you can see Puppy has full mana. He went back to the fountain to summon the wolves. A very, very common trick for all jungling Lycans. And the wolves do time out, so it's not really that important to tank with your hero with your first set of wolves, because they do time out if you do summon from the fountain. But yeah, Universe actually being driven away, and now Host going to work with controlling the creep ecosystem, just trying to frantically deny these creeps. It looks like the creeps will make it up to this place at the very least, but Puppy is going to pull the creep wave right back, and Universe is just going to be shit out of luck in terms of getting any sort of experience in this lane, especially with this really, really good ward being placed by Kuroki. So it seems like this top lane is just going to be really difficult for Universe to actually hit L2. And once he does hit L2, yeah, he can rotate into the jungle, but until then, it might not be possible. But then again, he does have a jungler, so he could potentially rotate himself to the jungle and try to sap some of the experience that Way Too Sexy is picking up himself. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Snaking is just taking it to Ancient Apparition, really utilizing that mobility as well as Shikuchi. And Cold Feet honestly can't do too much. Interesting that Dendy picked up 1 point in stats and no points, and has not yet put up his third skill point, I do believe. No, he got actually, I can't. Math is hard, guys. I'm assuming he put 1 point to stats and saving his other 2 skill
Radiant's
points
middle tower is under
until he
attack.
really needs it. He might want to get Chilling Touch. I don't know. But this level, he definitely didn't put up an extra skill point. You know, Snaking has bottled himself a regeneration rune, so now he can pretty much do whatever he wants. And Uber will always have control of the rune since Kuroki will be constantly be used to drive Universe away, and Puppy not really going to rotate himself to get the rune since he will be jungling up. So Weaver should always have rune control on his side. That's going to be a bit annoying for Dendi, but that does mean he won't really miss too much experience unless he is driven away. And actually, Dendi 4 and 6, Ancient Apparition's base damage, it's decent, but seems like Snaking so far is handling this matchup quite successfully as he is starting to go to work on this middle lane. Funnick gonna stack some Ancients. He has Gyrocopter as well as Lycanthrope that can clear stacked Ancients reasonably successfully, but it is actually quite a surprise that Funnick has been able to hit LO2 way before Universe, just because, I guess, Dignitas, since they do pick up a relatively greedy lineup. I mean, all things considered, isn't the greediest lineup I've ever seen Dignitas choose, but still, it is a lineup that heavily relies on experience, and that will force AY to push the creep wave so his supports can pick up as much experience as possible in terms of getting creep pulls and just really getting themselves the potential they need to dominate in the early to mid stages of the game. You know, Dendi has his bottle finished, is still trying to last it as best he can, the Weasel Crow flying overhead, and Universe desperately wants to get that level 2. I'm a bit surprised he hasn't rotated to the jungle and trying to take some of Way Too Sexy's farm, but I guess that's just a conscious decision. They want to have a higher level Enchantress rather than get Darkseer going ASAP as Way Too Sexy hiding in the Roshan pit. The Troll Warlord is there, will cast in that Dendi, will be cut off, but Snaking, it's a little bit too dangerous for him because he will have to take a lot of tower damage, and by the time he starts hitting Dendi, Dendi can throw on Cold Feet, and Chikuchi's not yet at the point where he can spam it so easily. It still does have an 8-second cooldown at this stage of the game. Meanwhile, AUI picked up the Ring of Basilis, will likely go for drums. I'm not too sure if he'll go for phase a la Illidan, but he will likely pick up those drums. Then maybe get a Yashin to Diffusal. I'm not too sure. AY is one of those players who picks up untraditional carry items, as he definitely has a different philosophy on how to play the game. He really does value that efficiency, but there will be a tower dive going in. Seems like Dignitas want to apply as much pressure as possible in order to free up the lane for Universe, and they really want to force a rotation from one of Navi's supports so that Universe can finally hit that L2 and really start to get going, since Universe is he's a pretty key linchpin in terms of Navi or Dignitas strategy, and their AoE lineup with the Ice Blast from Dendi is going to find, and that's going to do a lot of work as AOI is going to take a bit of tower ass and one more hit, but AOI going to cast the illusions, didn't take that extra bit of tower shot, but still not too pleased. He will be forced to use the Salve, but still, seems like Dignitas will muscle out in his tower in the end, and Enchantress actually does pick up the last hit. That should be either a Bracer or fuel up her Arcane Boots rush, as she will have enough gold to pick up those Arcane Boots right now if she decides to do just that. But maybe Way Too Sexy is just going to instead rush the Aghanim Scepter. As we on Darkseer, has he rotated in the jungle just yet? He has just now, and he's still only level 1. And Navi supports just didn't bite. They didn't want to rotate. They want to make sure Havos gets as much farm as possible, and they want to make sure Universe's experience growth is severely limited. And you can see Universe clearing up these level 1 creeps just on the strength of his auto attacks, and that is just simply not going to be efficient whatsoever. But Universe didn't really have a choice in the matter.
Eternal Spring.
Now Puppy with that trademark Puppy Micro, trying to scout through and perhaps deny it, but Enchantress actually does secure himself the regeneration rune. And Enchantress is already level 4. Meow Puppy, his jungling, has been relatively efficient from the creep stacks and creep pulls, and has been able to hit a reasonable timing on level 4. I mean, I guess these days with the armor buff on Lycanthrope, if you start out with a Quelling Blade as well as a Stop Shield, you can theoretically hit a level 6 star in 6.5 minutes, but Puppy bought Sentry Wards, so that's not really the optimal Lycan jungling build, so you can't really blame him for his slightly delayed experience growth. You know, Dendi most assuredly will rush the Aghanim Scepter. I mean, Why else will you lane AA mid other than Gagnon Scepter snaking? Gonna get a cold feet, but here comes the onslaught of Fog, gonna get an ice bath saying ice versus ice, my ice is better than yours. And here comes the infamous Harpy Storm Call for the ice blast. Will be used. Kuroki gonna get a Fable, zapping way too sexy's HP, and that means that way too sexy cannot heal up because again, Ancient Apparition does not allow you to heal when you're under the effects of the ultimate. Snaking just so difficult to deal with at this point in the game. Is gonna pick up another kill, most likely. No, Denny just juking all around the ways. Will be able to escape, as Puppy was there with the reinforce and as well as Funix, so 1-0 in favor of Dignitas. But Navi, it could have gotten a lot worse for them, considering that really nice initiation by Fog. And even though they lost the Enchantress in the end, or they lost, I think, Jakiro? Who they lose? They lost somebody. Oh, they lost nobody. It was 1-0 in favor of Dignitas. Derpity-der. This summer, Reborn is derpity-der.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Funnick picking up some much-needed experience. And Navi, just in general, they have a lap that does reasonably well in the mid-game. All he needs is some semblance of farm. He can put out a lot of work. Meanwhile, Dignitas, I feel like they are heavily reliant on Darkseer picking up levels. So they won't be able to play that aggressively, even with Enchantress, who is a very, very aggressive early game support. And they might be forced to sit back and farm up. And this is something that Dignitas is comfortable with doing, so we'll see if Navi can exploit this and try to shut down Dignitas in return, as Puppy taking a lot of his own puppies, not enough to draw the Creepbagger away from these merciless Hellwing people. Fucking Wildkins. Why can't they just be called Wildkins instead of Hell something? Or Wild Wings, or whatever the hell they're called. God, it's so annoying. Meanwhile, Denny has been able to pick up low lane, and you can see just not a strong flash farmer, and he's being heavily out CS by snaking in the middle lane because of snaking able to get those double auto attacks and just able to harass Dendy out a bit more successfully with those double auto attacks. Dendy's only form of harassment is cold feet and auto attacks, and a lot of those will be completely mitigated by Shikuchi. Or Shuki, as some commentators know and like to call him. But yeah. Shikuchi just makes this matchup very, very unfair for Dendy. And that means his CS is going to be heavily limited in comparison to snaking, but seems like he's relatively even in terms of the experience chart. And all he really wants is to Aghanim Scepter, but still, Navi, how will they actually kill the Weaver at this stage in the game? I'm not too sure. Yeah, how will they kill the Weaver? God. Rubik will always be able to steal Shikuchi, but they need to get the perfect chain stun with Clockwork and the telekinesis, and that's the only way they can kill Weaver. Meanwhile, the middle lane, a dive is going in. They're going to kill off Dendy with the support of Dignitas, as Navi were too busy focused on taking the tier 1. So Dendy going to die. That's going to mean a little bit less gold, and he really wants to get the Aghanim Scepter online, but it's going to be heavily delayed.
Dire's structures are fortified.
And Snaking even picked up the kill, so that is going to go a long way in terms of doing whatever item he goes for. He decided to pick up the early Bracer. I like this choice. It gives him more HP. I don't think you really necessarily need to rush the Lingid Sphere because one of the key components of Lingid Sphere is Perseverance, which gives you regeneration, but this is a mid lane Weaver, so he actually went for the bottle, and he would always have rune control since Navi supports weren't rotating. So this bottle is going to fuel up a lot of Perseverance. He can replace the Perseverance quite effectively. He can go back to Lingid Sphere if he truly wants it. It could potentially be useful against Cold Feet and Telekinesis, but that's pretty much it. Might just decide to go for a casual VIP booster and a cloak or something like that in order to truly get himself defensive. And Lingid Sphere, 5.1k for that spell block as well as regeneration. A lot of times it's not worth it. Funnick being camped on the top lane. There is a Dignitas Ward trying to spot any teleports, trying to reinforce the Clockwork. As Clockwork just trying to pick up whatever farm you can possibly get. And Clockwork, in this matchup, it's going to be hard because, again, a lot of Dignitas' lamp is very, very mobile. And this is buying Dignitas some valuable time to farm up the Universe, who has now been able to hit level 5. And he's going to make his way towards the Mechanism at not the best time, but still, getting it later rather than never is always going to be good. I popped the Song, but Funnick positioned himself just out of the way that the hook managed to go in and kill off AY. So good play by Navi, killing off the Nagasiren. As Nagasiren was getting very close. Is she rushing at Radiance? Wow. I thought AY wasn't really the biggest fan of Radiance in general, just because it's not as efficient. Might be rushing the Fusel lane, might just not be sure what he wants to get, but it was saving up a lot of gold, and now has 3.1k after that tower kill. So it looks to me it's going to be a Radiance rush at this point. I guess this can help out Dignitas split push and stall the game. Snaking gonna come in, but there's the center where they will spot Snaking. He's gonna take so much damage. And that Shukuchi definitely cost Snaking to his life, and I guess that's one way that Snaking can die in the duration of one telekinesis at this stage in the game. Just the incredible DPS of Navi managed to tear through Snaking like a hot knife through butter. Of H Apparition Ice Blast gonna fly, and actually does manage to land one, which he sects his head, but Puppey doesn't have the ultimate anymore, and Fogged will most likely die. Is stoned to the effects of Ice Blast, and Rubik does pick up the last of the macro part actually going to work as Kuroki gonna come in with Shukuchi, and Navi just taking control of the jungle after Dignitas weren't in the right position at the right time. So good engagement for Navi in this case. I don't know if they'll be able to muscle on this tower. Lycanthrope, I think, did back off. He doesn't have any mana. He's going to summon the wolves as Navi will try to pressure and try to take this tower. And without a sleep and with a relatively low level of Darkseer, I don't think Dignitas can actually fight this. So Navi going to claim yet another tower. They pick up their second tower, and meanwhile AY going to work does spot Dendi. Dendi is going to lose a pretty sizable chunk of gold. He should probably just buy it. Instead he's going to cast in that nice recognition of Dendi. Now he can teleport out from the underneath the net. I'm sure AY was a bit concerned that he might get juked as Jackal does pick up the kill. Fog taking so much damage from the opponent as well as the Rocket Barrage will die to Vosa. Meanwhile Snake getting lifted in the air does manage to get the time lapse off, has full HP and relatively decent amount of mana, but will retreat in the end. Now he just does so much damage at this stage of the game that Dignitas really don't want to fight him. You know, AOI going to be driven away by Kuroki, and that's one of the annoying things about picking Weaver up against Rubik. I mean, you can't really hide Shukuchi. Form just has too long of a cooldown to spam it, and that's a pretty high mana cost. Meanwhile, I mean, Weaver spams Shukuchi so frequently that it's so very easy for Rubik to actually take Shukuchi, and Shukuchi is probably one of the best spells in the game to actually steal. Gyrocopter already has his BKB, has 1k gold in the bank, and has not yet used a BKB charge. So he's getting off to a reasonably strong start. So far Navi should have a reasonably sized gold advantage. You can see 2.5k gold advantage over 5k experience advantage means that they're doing very, very well at this stage in the game. And just checking out the levels, yeah, everybody's hit level 6, but I mean, Puppey's experience growth will start to increase a bit more. Snaking gonna take a bit of cold feet for harassment, and meanwhile Dendi is gonna have something delivered to him. It is gonna be a bulker, so he's gonna go Mecha rather than going for that Aga rush. Usually the Clockwork wants to get the Mecha, but I guess Sonic Storm is just a bit too restricted. And maybe they want to have a pipe up in the mid-game team fights up against Ichikiro as well as Darkseer. So Mechanism, it makes sense. But I was hoping for an Aghanim's Rush. I guess Ice Blast's cooldown at level 1 is just, well, it's the same at all levels. But it's not going to be the case for this point in the game. Dendi will not secure himself the Aghanims as his first major item. Meanwhile, Navi, Fonek has Arcane Boots, 800 gold in the bank. Rubik has Arcane Boots, as well as 700 gold in the bank. Will likely work his way towards a 4 staff or a Blink Dagger. Dendi, 700 gold away from finishing the Mechanism of Oath, gonna go for the Helm Dominator to get some ancient stacks going. And Puppey has Medallion, so if Navi finds an opening to rush, they will do just that. And Darkseer, he's level 7, he's catching up, so soon he can start getting some points to the wall. And that will allow Dignitas to start looking for some team fights and maybe contest the Roshan if Navi do decide to make their way towards it. And keep in mind, Dignitas have a reasonable way to scout Roshan. Storm has 3,000 range, and when you cast it, it does give you full vision of the area that it's casted over. So, Navi will have to be careful if they decide to rush that Roshan due to the fact that Storm is in position. Snaking actually went for an interesting skill though, went for 3 points in Swarm. A lot of players are actually a big advocate of maxing Gemini attack after Shukuchi just because it increases your auto attack DPS. But I guess Snaking wants to have that minus armor and just chase a lot more effectively. He knows that the damage will come from Dignitas regardless when they have the Ion Shell, as well as the Darkseer pursuing. You know, Puppey trying to work his way towards the Vladimir's, just going to scout out with his wolves consistently. And Navi just going to stand at a stalemate. They are going to be out farming in this meantime because AOI will rotate himself up to the top lane. He's already picked up the Relic at a pretty solid timing. 85 CS at 16 minutes, definitely nothing to be ashamed of, but Havosis just had as a number. Because of those team fights and because of those tower kills, is very much ahead of AOI at this stage of the game. Meanwhile, Navi utilizing the Howl will be able to just kill off this tier 1 tower middle lane without any sort of engagement. Again,
has
I can't
fallen.
imagine Dignitas would want to go for the engagement without having that max level vacuum for that increased range as well as increased AoE. And they have that 2 points, but still, they want to get the max level vacuum before they really look for a team fight. And I think Dignitas, I mean, they're obviously not going to be too thrilled at losing all these towers and giving up a lot of kills, but they can afford to wait. They have a lamp that does scale reasonably well. Now he has a lamp that scales reasonably well as well, so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top in these late game clashes, but the teamfight presence of Dignitas is a bit concerning if you are a Navi fan, at least in my books. You know, Dendi is going to secure himself a mechanism. I don't know, AA just doesn't seem like a Dendi hero. It's very immobile and just sort of stands back and says, cast Ice Blast, cast Cold Feet, that's all my contribution to this team fight. As he did actually pit 3 points in his stats in the end. Got 1 point to Ice Vortex for a bit of vision, got a level into Chilling Touch in order to help bring down his Roshan. As I'm a bit surprised he hasn't cast it on Puppy just yet. It does work on Roshan, I don't think it works on towers. Maybe it's the other way around, maybe I'm just dumb as hell. But so far this Roshan is dying at a reasonable pace, and Dignitas, they weren't able to spot out the movement. Now since Dendi is roaming towards that ward, he could have potentially spot out, but if Dignitas placed a ward here or here, they definitely would have been, he definitely would have been discovered, as you can wait 2 seconds, he will scout the Roshan pit with these skeletons, but it will just be a bit too late, as the Lycan will secure himself an Aegis to the Immortal, and that's going to increase his experience as well as his skill gain by such a big amount. That's always a key tipping point for Lycan. If he meant to pick up a Roshan without 2 enemies here, friends with him, he'll just get a huge boost in terms of experience, and really becomes a lot more threatening with that Aegis. And we'll see what Puppy decides to go for. Will he rush the BKB? That might not be the most prudent measure up against a Naga. Keep in mind, the reason Naga got popular in the first place, it was an Asian pick to fully counter Wolf back when Wolf was ridiculously dominant. But Naga is pretty much an anti-Wolf hero. She holds Lycanthrope in place with the net. She has the Song of Siren to isolate Lycan in a team fight. And overall does very, very well against the Lycanthrope, as Fog is going to get caught by a Funny Cook. Very nicely placed. Fog, constantly being interrupted, does manage to drop the macro power in the end, but Gyrocopter does pick up the last hit. Meanwhile, Dignitas just going to try to split push. They're going to lose the tier 2, but it seems like they won't be able to claim a tier 2 or a tier 1 exchange, so really nice engagement for Navi as they manage to get a free tier 2 as well as defend all their other lanes. What more could you want in a team fight? I guess you could hope for an entire team wipe while defending everything and want to kill the throne just because. That's, I guess, the most you want from a team fight, but this was close to what you wanted. And this was just a slightly bit more realistic. You know, way too sexy. Gonna go for the Aghanim Scepter. Is still 2 components away from finishing that Phonic. Gonna pick up the point booster. I'm a bit surprised he isn't going for a pipe. Maybe he'll just have the point booster to buff up his HP as well as mana. Dandy has the mechanism. Most likely will try to get either Phase Boots or Arcane Boots and then make his way towards the Aghanim Scepter. Or maybe he'll just go for the Aghanim Scepter rush. But now with Naga Siren's Radiance, she can just farm a lot more effectively and just able to split push the lanes with her illusions. An interesting decision, only got 1 point to ensnare despite being up against Lycan. Instead, wanted these tanky illusions to split push a lot more early. So I guess that's why AUI decided to max those illusions after maxing Riptide. They recognized with Universe getting off to such a bad start, Dignitas obviously wouldn't be looking for too many early game engagements. Spanking, not going for Lincoln Sphere. Again, I like this a lot. I've already explained why I liked it. Instead, gonna go for Yasha into most likely Manta style. And with that, he'll actually do a pretty sizable amount of damage towards the enemies on the side of Navi. You know, Universe is going to be used to muscle down his tower. Again, picking up wall at level 9. This is very, very crucial for base defense because you don't really vacuum to get people in a base defense. I mean, if it was a sort of a large-scale team fight breaking out in a weird sort of open area, then you want to have that max vacuum online. But in a case where Dignitas is on the defensive, you just want to pop the wall to discourage Navi from pushing in. So I like that Universe did pick up the wall at level 9 instead of picking up the vacuum. I'm actually a pretty big advocate of getting an early point in the wall in general. It just scares the other team. And putting the fear into the enemy team's heart is always a plus in my book. You know, Puppy, it's going to be a BK rush, so he's not going to go for the Necrobook route. And Navi will claim one of the last tier 2s on the side, Dignitas, but the
Radiant's bottom
TP
tower
by
is under
Kuroki will be
attack.
enough to drive Universe away. But Kuroki could potentially be in launch while Kuroki has the dagger, and that might give reason for Dignitas to pause his Universe. Gonna come in, we'll get the vacuum distilling the dagger, but Kuroki with Shikuchi and the Blink Dagger,
Radiant's
this is gonna be
bottom tower
too
has
difficult to kill.
fallen.
But it seems like
Dire's
Dignitas
top
will get a
tower
successful
is
tower
under
trade.
attack.
They might take a bit of damage in tier 3 in the end, but I
Dire's
think
top
they will be able to
tower has
arrive
fallen.
back in time to
Dire's
defend this.
middle tower is under attack.
As macro power will be used, 60-second con means you can use it pretty freely in comparison to most other ultimates. So good usage of the macro power by Fogged. The creep wave is going to arrive pretty late, and I mean it's already going to be back up in
Dire's
45 seconds or
middle
so.
tower has fallen.
Well, AUI 2000 going to muscle down the mid tower. We'll see if she decides to go for a Diffusal Blade or maybe picks up a Vib Booster. This Naga Siren, very swishy. 1k HP, didn't go for anything like Treads, didn't go for a Bracer into Drums, instead went for a split pushing heavy build. So I think at this point Naga Siren might want to pick up maybe a Vib Booster or maybe in Strength Treads to boost up her HP, but instead goes for the Yasha, so goes for a bit more split pushing rather than going for a bit of insurance in team fights. Most already with the Demon Edge has that Javelin, so he's going to rush that MKB, and his damage is starting to get quite terrifying, and I don't think he's even used a BKB charge, so that is very, very good news for Host. I mean, yeah, there's a net, but that's pretty much the only thing. Of course, Weaver will be incredibly annoying to hunt down, but those illusions of Naga Siren will fall in an instant to the damage that the Gyro card is pumping out. What is Flak in? The unfortunate thing for Navi is that they're going to give up this Aegis. Yeah, they claimed pretty much all of the outer towers, but I mean, Dignitas are claimed all the outer towers as well, bar this tier 2, and this tier 2 will die from a Naga Siren push, so I'm not too sure what Navi's waiting for. Yes, it's difficult to break into Dignitas' base with his lineup of Jakiro as well as Darkseer, but just sitting around waiting for Dignitas to take tier 2s, I don't think that's a really, really smart decision by Navi. Meanwhile, there will be a blink by Kuroki. We'll manage to latch the Darkseer. The Ice Path by Fog will be in use, as there was a Force Staff. Finish the Force Staff. Universe has already finished up the Force Staff, and that's going to mean a bit more solid initiation. And Dignitas pushing the tier 3 all the while, and this tower will be defended, but still Navi losing a lot of map control just on the strength of Dignitas' split push. I don't know if Navi are just reacting to the situation appropriately, but they're giving up a lot of free towers when they should have the advantage at this stage in the game, considering the level difference. You know, Fog will be caught by Kuroki. Once again, Puppey going to be there, but a good defensive Ice Path will be dropped. And Kuroki does manage to steal Ice Path, is going to get the kill on Jakiro, but in the end, it is a Jakiro pick-off. Still a nice victory for Navi nonetheless.
And it's off.
You know, the Rain's just proving to be ever so annoying. I think Funix should really go for the Pipe. And the Courier actually died with the Funnic item, as that is going to be very, very annoying for Navi. And that's going to delay the push coming in once again. Denny trying to work his way towards Agnums has the point booster, but that's pretty much it. I don't imagine he has anything else on the Courier that was going to be delivered to him. But Snaking's starting to put out a lot of damage. And the pace of the game has drastically favored Dignitas in the last couple minutes. You can see they've made up a huge goal difference. The experience difference is still greatly in favor of Navi, because I mean, only a couple heroes inside Dignitas are able to split push so effectively, but still the gold difference. I mean, Dignitas heroes can definitely make great usage of this gold. As Snaking going to pop the double damage, and Puppey doesn't have the Wolf ultimate. I'm sure Snaking would have pushed the issue if he knew that fact, but he didn't know, so he is going to back off. Meow mechanism will be used to boost Puppey's HP. The Roshan has died, so Navi, they're going to have to wait for this next Roshan, and they're going to have to wait for the Courier as well. And I don't know, at this point I'd try to give Dendy as much farm as possible. I think you really want to have the Aghanim Scepter up. 17 seconds of that Shatter debuff on you is absolutely immense. And consider it does 20 damage per second, that's an additional 100 DPS to everybody that the Ice Blast does hit. Well, 140 damage I suppose. You know, AOI gonna go for the Mantis South. That'll give him a bit more HP to work with. And AOI has hit level 3, so he's starting to get naturally tanky himself. And look at Naga Siren's armor. She has no armor increase items outside the Ring of Basilius, but her base armor starts at 6, and she overall does move really, really fast. And even with the Yasha, since Naga Siren has 320 base move speed, without any upgraded boots, she's very, very difficult for Navi to actually catch up to. And that's why she's able to split push so effectively. And of course, having a spell like Song of Siren definitely helps, make no bones about it. Meanwhile, way too sexy. How much gold? Is that finished Aghanims for way too sexy? Wow. So the support Enchantress actually managed to farm a faster Aghanims than Dendy. Yeah, I mean, Dendy did go for the Mecha Rush, but that just shows you that Dignitas are overall pretty comfortable with where they're at. And so far the pace is greatly favoring them because they can split push all day. I mean, they're not starting with one with an incredibly split push oriented build, and Weaver is split pushing very effectively with his own Yasha as well as Ultimate Orb combination. So Navi starting to get to the point where they might just need to bull rush down middle once the lanes are pushed out sufficient enough. Of course, they won't want to have Roshan when they decide to do that decision, but I don't know if they can afford to wait a lot longer. Yeah, they have a lineup that scales all, Dignitas does as well, but Dignitas' teamfight just gets more and more powerful, especially with a pretty farm Naga Siren. And yeah, Naga Siren herself doesn't hit for too much when you have a Gyrocopter to consider. It's still not a comfortable position that Navi wants to be in. Roshan gonna respond in about 30 seconds as Puppy gonna be constantly hunted down and annoyed by snaking, as Naga Siren might rotate in with a net, and Puppy has the BKB, gonna summon the wolves, and that range just put in a lot of damage. You know, the courier has respawned for Navi. Actually, this is gonna be a pipe for, or this is gonna be an Aghanims for the Clockwork. I'd really prefer a pipe, since I don't think they're gonna be able to utilize this really long cooldown of, or short cooldown of the hook. I guess you can sort of escape from situations and hook creeps in order to stop the split push, but I don't know, I feel like a pipe would help you out in team fights a lot more. But Navi, they're gonna get Roshan. They should be able to get relatively easily, as the side of Dignitas are not in position to contest this. Havost with the Fish MKB, gonna pick up the Eagle Song as well, and Havost hurts, as well as Puppy. I mean, the entirety of Navi does hurt. Is Fogged gonna come in with an Ice Path, will be driven away, and now he doesn't really have the ways to catch up to Fogged. As Meow snaking will just kill off Kuroki single-handedly, and should be able to escape relatively easily. AY might be forced to use this song, but he should escape as well, as I think Kuroki, he's still swarm, it seems like, and Havost just gonna give it the chase. AY just too fast. You know, this tier 2 on the bottom lane, it is gonna die. Puppy won't get denied. The 2 creeps gonna be enough to secure the last hit on this tier 2, so that is the last remnant of Navi's outer towers, and this tier 2 still have full HP. And Navi haven't even chipped the tier 3, but this tier 3 on the top lane has undergone significant damages. It's a weird game. Navi have a kill advantage, they have an experience advantage, but I don't know if they have the advantage in general, as the ice or the cold feet will be applied to snaking, but this tower is actually in deny range, and I don't know if Navi actually want to deny this. They might choose to do so. They don't want to give up any more free gold to the side of Dignitas, but once you leave this tier 3 open, the racks are fully exposed, and without a glyph on the side of Navi, it's going to be annoying because those racks could be potentially worked away by Weaver. So Navi not going to deny the tower in the end, but they've got to be feeling a little bit uncomfortable at this stage in the game, as just a really, really terrible position for Navi to be in overall. And now Universe, he has hit that magical level and has gotten 2 points in a while, so 1 more level, and then he'll have the vacuum, and then the Team 5 Dignitas becomes truly fearsome. And you have some AoE damage with the Naga Siren raids as AY picks up the Boots Child, just allowing him to split push him a lot more effectively, and overall increases move speed up to a sufficient level that only a hook and a Lycan can chase him down. Havost has picked up his own Boots Travel. Nice decision, because he will pick up a good attack speed increasing item in the form of Butterfly, so he doesn't really need the treads, and Boots Travel at the end will allow him to get back to the base should Dignitas decide to split push all the way to his team's base. But Havost is pretty much the only bright spot for Navi in this game, as overall I feel like Dignitas have claimed some map advantage, and you can see the gold graph remaining constant. Yeah, the experience graph is a 10k deficit for Dignitas, but I think the majority of that has gone to Havost. Well, I guess a lot of these middle 3 heroes on the side of Navi have benefited from the experience lead as well. But look at Dignitas, they are just going to work on this tier 3 tower. They're just going to chip away, back off, chip away, back off. Havost will be there on the approach, but they don't have Keeper Light to recall him back. So Havost, he's going to have to walk all the way back to his team should his team want to mount a push. And Dignitas are just going to go to work on the other side of the map, most likely with the top lane. Or they did spot Puppey with his Observer Ward. Puppey will most likely die. He doesn't have the gem. He's going to, or he doesn't have the Aegis. He's going to lose the gem. And that's going to be a huge loss for Puppey. He's going to pop the ultimate. He will look to escape out of this. Funnick going to pop the cogs. They will be able to save Puck for now, as Jakiro will be the first one to die. Universe taking a lot of Battery Assault because Funnick was stunned right next to him. Seems like Weaver was able to kill off Kuroki. And, you know, way too sexy is going to kill off Clockwork, so it's going to be a 2-for-2 engagement. But now we were forced to buy back. Well, not really forced to buy back. Kuroki chose to buy back because I think in Na'Vi they want to get the push going. They have the creep equilibrium in their favor, and they know the wall is down, so they want to apply as much pressure during this duration. And with the wall being down, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Dignitas to actually defend this. But Dignitas have the glyph. This tower is still at relatively healthy HP. They won't lose the axe off of this unless they make a couple vital mistakes.
Radiant structures are fortified.
You know, the Swarm will be used to usher the side of Na'Vi way, as well as taking a lot of damage. Will give up his Aegis. I guess he just wants to get full HP. He's just gonna give it up for free. Interesting decision, as you know, Clockwork will teleport himself to the middle, and he's gonna use the hook to get him latched to the creeps in order to help out his team ASAP. And this tower taking a lot of damage, but Universe is gonna respawn. He has the Vacuum and Ice Path combination, even if he doesn't have the wall. Back him up. Havost still taking a lot of edge. Call on will be used as the vacuum going to suck Havost in towards the tower. It seems like the tower will end up dying. No, it's one hit away, and Dignitas should look for the 9. Universe does pick it off. Puppey going to work, but Snaking just too maneuverable. Should be able to escape, and this should spark the imminent retreat of Na'Vi. And man, Havost hasn't even used his 10-second BKB charge. That's what happens when you have the Aegis. Funnick can drop a defensive cogs, and Na'Vi should look to escape, but Snaking going to come in with an Ion Shell harassment, and Universe will have the wall up relatively soon. Kuroki going to get the telepiece. Snaking will shatter in the blink of an eye, as was taking a lot of damage from the Naga illusions. Is going to run away, is forced to pop the BK as well as to escape the wrath of those illusions. Clockwork was able to kill Fog, but Puppey going to die to an Enchantress, as Bambi gets revenge on that big bad wolf, even though that was never Disney canon. Seems like Naga gonna kill off Clockwork, so in the end, it's a 2-for-2 engagement. Once again, Snaking actually bought back, but the tower was denied, and Na'Vi had one buyback as well. So overall, a good defense by Dignitas, and what I think was a big factor is that Dignitas didn't use a wall because he didn't have it up. So I gotta imagine that team fights for Dignitas is gonna get more scary as this game goes on. But still, I was very surprised that Havost still has a 10-second BKB charge, and he's going to have a very, very long duration BKB throughout the majority of this game. Nagastar, yeah, it will shut down Havost, but then that might allow Puppey to roam free, and we'll see what item Puppey decides to go for. I think AC is going to be the likely option for the Wolf in this game. Fog just continuing to ward. I mean, Jakiro, all he really needs to do is drop Ice Path and Macro Power. Yeah, he wants a couple more levels in Macro Power, but I want $1 million. You can't always get what you want. Dandy, he didn't die, and you can see Ancient Apparition just not as good Flash Farmer, has no AoE cleave-going abilities outside of the Ice Blast. I'm a bit surprised that Dandy's just not spamming it to try to pick up creeps. Maybe he is, and I'm just not paying attention. But his Aghanim Scepter is going to be severely delayed. Way Too Sexy has a Ghost Scepter. Way Too Sexy actually getting very, very farmed. You saw the Aghanims putting in a lot of damage. And Na'Vi, they want to push in. I don't know if this is the best idea. They're going to face the Song and the Wall. They're going to finally face the full extent Dignitas' teamfight lineup. But May thinks that Solosa has buyback and Weaver doesn't. This is a good time to strike. The Creepy Eagle is in their favor at the moment. Macropar and Ice Path will be used. Here comes the Vacuum Wall. The Wall placed in a very weird position, but does manage to get its damage off nonetheless. The Gyrocopter will be enough to kill off Fog, and meanwhile, Universe will be driven away. He is going to escape just fine. He's going to pop the Surge. Funnick will be the first one inside, not going to die, as Corki going to Shikuchi on out of there. Havost just does not care, going to kill out of the buildings. Havost has priority straight, as Nagastar is able to kill off Puppey in the end. But a successful engagement being taken by Na'Vi. Yes, Puppey died. Alas, we will mourn his loss forever. But they managed to claim the middle barracks, and that is going to greatly increase Na'Vi's chance for success, as they have some strong split fishing of their own. Not as strong as Dignitas, but they have Lycan, and so they can potentially just push out multiple lanes if they choose to do that. And still, that wall by Universe, yeah, it technically caught Lycan and Gyrocopter. I'm not too sure why Puppey decided to run back and forth into the wall, taking unnecessary amounts of damage, because the wall damage actually does go through BKB. At least, to my knowledge, it does. Well, all I know, it does make illusions. Maybe the damage doesn't go through. And you can only have one illusion at a time, so it probably didn't affect Puppey as much as I was making it out to be. But yeah, that wall could have been placed a lot better. He managed to get the gyrocopter and Lycan, but that's pretty much it. And the gyrocopter illusion melted immediately once Savos decided, hey, I don't need to be staying in the wall. It's placed in a vertical line. I can just sort of sidestep it and mitigate its impact entirely. So really, really successful engagement for Navi. They still managed to lose 2 heroes, but I feel like Dignitas' teamfight can still get a really, really strong engagement going in their favor, because the wall was so poorly placed, and the Ice Path Macro Power I don't think were in position either. Meanwhile, AUI, his split pushing heavy build cost him a significant amount of HP, but he's starting to make his way towards that heart. Likely going to sell the Ring of Basilius or Magic One. I don't think he'll upgrade Diffusal Blade level 2. I think he will go for the Reaver tower build, and with that he can actually stand toe to toe and fight. Although he doesn't do nearly as much damage compared to Vost, who is just pumping out huge amounts of damage. And Vost getting nearly maxed out will go for Satanic next, as Darkseer did kill off Phonic, but here comes Engaging Kuroki, does pick up way too sexy, and the Shatter effect from Dendy gonna come in with full force. He has Aghanim Scepter finally finished, and Navi will claim the tier 2, but look at Dignitas, they're split pushing multiple lanes, and this will force the defense by Navi. I don't think Navi should go for this tier 3 push. Maybe they'll go straight for the throne after this, but, well, I guess this mid tower is at full HP for the most part, so it should be okay, but this bottom rack will most certainly die. Snaking just doing way too much damage, and Puppey gonna drive away Fog once again, and here comes the net, gonna hold Puppey in place. AY should be able to kill off Puppey, because BK is turning out very rapidly, and Navos, the glyph is going down. Kuroki gonna go in, trying to kill off way too sexy. The wall has been dropped in a much better location this time, and Snaking, look at him on the bottom lane, still damaging the barracks. He should be enough to take down the melee barracks very, very soon. Most charging in, but is completely isolated. He will probably die. He's going to get netted up. Snaking going to come in with the swarm, as, yes, Snaking will pick up a kill onto the gyrocopter. AUI will secure a kill as well. And Navi, they lost the bottom barracks. What was... Oh my god, Snaking, what a guy. He actually... I think he TP'd back to base, and then he time-lapsed to get him to finish off potentially the top barracks. Really, really nice recognition of Weaver by Snaking. If that was the case, that is something you don't see too often, to use that time-lapse offensively and get himself back inside Navi's base. But Phonic going to follow up with a hook shot. Snaking no longer has time-lapse. He will have the Manta style, and he has a double injury. You can potentially fight this out, but he is going to back off. Snaking should be able to escape unless Phonic gets one more hook online. He does have the item scepter, but without vision, he doesn't want to chance it. But yeah, I'm not too sure Navi just rushed in so recklessly. They cost themselves barracks, they didn't even claim a tier 2. And Gyrocopter bought back, so he lost a huge amount of gold in that exchange. You know, Roshan has to respawn, but Dignitas, they are on pursuit. And if Most dies, he's going to be out of the game for a long duration. So that engagement definitely favored Dignitas, as now they have climbed back to nearly tap the kill count. And Dignitas, they're just going to be constantly pressuring the middle lane. AUI, he has the reverse, and now he's pretty tanky. He has a very high armor volume as well. And Snaking, his only damage increasing item is pretty much the Manta style. But he will start getting more and more scary as this game progresses. And Puppey has actually died a reasonable amount of time. He is going to go for the AC, as Gyrocopter does finish the Satanic, recognizing since he doesn't have buyback, I might as well finish the Satanic when I have the cash. Darkseer, he has the gem. As the hook is going to come in, it's going to catch off way too sexy again. Probably the least important member on side Dignitas is going to take an Ice Blast as well as a Rock Rod right to the face. Universe dies, and that is definitely a much bigger victory for Navi, as opposed to actually popped a BKB, so now it's down to a 6-second BKB.
Dire's bottom barracks are under attack.
But Universe doesn't have buyback, and Navi will take Roshan, but they are going to lose the top or bottom range barracks in exchange. Darkseer actually did have buyback. I wasn't expecting that. I thought the gold count wasn't going to be there. And this Roshan fight could very well be contested. Here comes the call-in, as the sleep will be popped by AUI. The call-down just going to kill off the illusions, and that's pretty much it. But here comes the macro power damage. Going to catch a boost as well as Phonic. Going to do a bit of damage, and Puppey's actually blocked off. Gyrocopter does kill off Jakiro in the end, as here comes the net. holding Puppey in place for the umpteenth time. Vacuum into Wall. Well, Vacuum not being casted just yet. Ice Blast will kill off Universe. He doesn't have buyback anymore, as this engagement is very, very crazy. But look at the base of Navi. The creeps are starting to go to work on the tier 4s. And Navi, they have to kill Roshan very soon, or they might. Oh my god, they actually did lose a tier 4. They really need to get the Roshan to make it worth it, and they won't be able to secure it. But this is just looking like a huge loss of momentum for Navi. As the hook by Funnick gonna come in. Just trying to help out his allies. Whenever you hear the hook sound, you always think of looking at the opponents. But the tier 4, oh my god, this tier 4 taking a lot of damage as well. I don't know if snaking damaged it or anything like that. But he is going to finish an item. Is that an MKB? It's actually going to be an Eagle Song, so he's going to buff up his own DPS. Meanwhile, the VIP booster on Nagasiren, the heart is going to finish on Nagasiren. And yeah, Navi took the Aegis, but they've got to make sure when they push, they can push to try to win the game. So expect the next push to go either bottom or middle, and just try to either take the bottom barracks or try to win the game. And we'll see if Navi have any items to sort of make that happen. They gave the cheese to Funnick, curiously enough. And you can see Navi starting to get a lot of boots of travel on their side. They know they have to really defend their base at this moment, since Dignitas did go with a very, very split-pushing oriented build on their heroes. Actually, E-Blade was secured by snaking. Interesting choice. This is quite impressive, or not impressive, but a good decision up against the really weak Gyrocopter BKB duration at this moment in time. And once Gyrocopter uses that BKB, once it's down, Snake can just E-Blade, or he can potentially turn his sights to Rubik or AA and try to bring down HP by a significant amount, but preventing either Puppey or the Gyrocopter from attacking for a reasonable duration is going to give Dignitas a huge advantage. Anyway, buying out, he knows he can split push and make up his gold so very easily, and Navos constantly the only one who can defend his barracks, as the rest of Navi pushing down middle lane, and Navos can teleport, but it will still take a while. We'll see if Dignitas to try to attempt to gank on Navos at this moment in time. As Navos didn't get the Aegis, maybe already used it as Funnick. We'll get trapped by a vacuum wall, gonna be dropped by Universe. And here comes the net. Funnick forced to use the cheese, but Weaver does kill off Kuroki. AUI will be hunting down the rest of Navi as Funnick gonna get surrounded by Ion Shell damage. Funnick will most likely die unless he can hook himself to safety. But he will end up dying to the Swarm, and the gem will be dropped by Funnick once again. You know, AUI, or Fog, was killed off. The Aegis gonna expire on the Lycanthrope. And does he have the Wolf Form to get him out there? And he does not at this moment. Puppey gonna die again. He's gonna get perched up. Pavo's gonna arrive to try to help out his friend and his captain, but Snaking, look at the damage Snaking is just doing. If he kills off Vos, this is going to be a complete disaster for Navi, as Snaking just putting in work. The Satanic was already expanded by Havos, as the Purge going to come in. Nice play by AUI, getting into cast range to get the Diffuse Blade charge off, and Havos will die. Navi just crumbling to pieces, but Havos will have buyback, fortunately enough, and I think Navi should be able to defend, but just really, really weird engagements being taken by Navi. They push mid while Havos is farming, and overall that did not help them. Darkseer got a really strong vacuum wall engagement, and that really allowed Dignitas to take control over that fight and perhaps over the game, since now Navi are in a bit of a desperate situation. They no longer have Aegis, nor do they have cheese, nor do they have buyback on the Gyrocopter. And I don't think anybody inside Dignitas bought back, apart from maybe Fogged, or maybe naturally spawned. Havos being E-bladed up, good recognition by Snake, going to negate a lot of damage as the top barracks will be under siege. The barracks are not yet dying, but here comes Snaking once again. Weaver starting to put out insane amounts of physical damage. Funnick already used the blade mail, so he can't do nearly as much damage as Snaking in return. Universe will help him get the kill, as here comes teleport by Puppey, but Universe will trade his life in exchange, no doubt about that. Actually, E-blade by Kuroki was picked up, as Ice Blast is going to fly it. It's going to whiff pretty much completely for the most part. Song of Siren will be used by AOI to cover the retreat of Dignitas, and they should be able to escape just fine. Teleport coming into the bottom lane to try to kill off Lady Sexy, and Navi are successful in doing just that.
Middle tower is under
The
attack.
goal graph even. Experience graph
Dire's
still in favor of
middle tower
Navi,
has fallen.
but experience graph at this point doesn't really mean that much when the base of Navi
Dire's
is in
ancient
such great
is
danger. And
under
actually the
attack.
Ancient is under attack since the last tier 4 was cleared out. Navi have to try to do something to protect this,
Dire's
because here
ancient
comes
is
AUI
under
solutions.
attack.
They'll probably expire before they can do too much damage, but keep in mind the throne doesn't reach an HP. So every damage the throne takes, that will remain. Or the throne does regen HP, I'm just stupid. It no longer has back to regen, that's what I meant. Puppy trying to finish up his AC. He's still quite far away, unless he has M in the curve, which he does not. Funnick, I don't know, I feel like Clockwork hasn't really had the best impact in this game, as another team fight might break out relatively soon. This is do or die time for both teams, as they both want to move on to the next round. I'm sure Navi want to try to actually win a Dreamhack even when they were at the strongest in the early days of Dota 2, they weren't able to take down Dreamhack. Instead, Sinner was constantly the thorn on their side. And this time, the Americans putting in work after the Americans knocked them out of the last Dreamhack. EG with that Sven crit melted any hopes of Navi taking home a Dreamhack championship. And Dignitas want to prove themselves the most consistent of the American teams. And so far, they're playing remarkably well in this game. Checking out the items, snaking, 3.7k gold in the bank, has enough for buyback. AUI, Diffuse Blade level 2, has enough for buyback. Still has a Ring of Basilius, interesting choice. Guess wants to have armor, but he will sell that. Butterfly might not be the best option up against MKB. Critical Strike might be a solid option since illusions do crit, although they do not benefit from the plus damage that the Daedalus does grant you. Or maybe MKB. Actually, I think it's going to be MKB for AUI. He wants to get through the invasion. As Gyrocopter, he's going to go for the rapier. He knows that Navi need to win one fight, and then they can potentially win the game. And this is going to be a rapier build by Avos. But he's still around 2.1k gold away from finishing this very, very coveted item. You know, we'll see if Dignitas try to prevent that from happening. They know Rapier Gyrocopter is incredibly annoying to deal with, and they don't have a Hex to really lock him in place. The only measure of crowd control they have, I guess, is E-Blade and Net and Ice Path. But without a Hex, it's a lot more difficult to take it to Gyrocopter, even with the BKB nerf. Meanwhile, the illusions being summoned by AUI constantly chipping away at this barracks on the top side of the map. As Navi, they're going to play defensively until they can manage to secure themselves a rapier. And even then, I don't know, because Havos has no item slots for an Aegis. Maybe it's prudent to sell the BKB, or drop the BKB because he can no longer sell it. Who exactly is Funnick going to use the hook to delay the creeps as much as possible, and I think Dignitas will make them move sooner rather than later, as they all have buyback, I'm pretty sure. Yes, pretty much all of their important heroes have buyback, so I think they can afford to lose a fight. And I think they should apply pressure before Havos does pick up the BKB. I mean, BKB Gyrocopter is just annoying, or Rapier, because Rapier Gyrocopter is just annoying to deal with even if you do have an advantage. The snaking just going to split push on the bottom lane will be enough to drive away Funnick. Actually might kill Funnick. Funnick taking a lot of damage. He will die. E-Blade going to come in as A is enough to kill off Fog, but Funnick will die in exchange. Funnick doesn't have buyback.
Dire's ancient is under attack.
And now the Ancient will be under siege by Snaking Puppy, forced to put his child back in. As here comes teleport by AY. No, it's going to be cancelled. No, he is going to come in as the glyph is forced. The massive amount of illusions by AY with the Manta as well as the Song of Siren illusions might be enough to kill down this throne. Snaking putting out the damage. Will Dignitas win off of this one mistake? GG, well played is called by Dignitas. Oh my god, Navi. Wow, that was unexpected to say the least. Did not see that happening. I didn't think a Clockwork death would transition into a Navi death, but it's Dignitas showing some strong poise, it's strong decision making, will take the game as well as the series, and they're going to move on to the semifinals. And meanwhile, Navi, the streak of Dreamhack futility will continue as they won't even take home any money, and they've got to they've been looking very strong, but in this series they made some questionable decisions, especially in this game three. I feel like Navi's lineup was decent enough, even though Dendy I don't think played the hero necessarily wanted to get. I really didn't feel A's impact in this game, and but I think the main problem was the decision making of Navi, as I thought their play was solid enough to win the game, but Dignitas just had better decision making and played the game, and they won it. So Dignitas will move on, and hopefully you'll enjoy that match. That's the last of the quarterfinals, finally. But I'll see y'all next time. Peace.